Welcome to Nasdaq TradeTalks, where we meet with the top thought leaders and strategists in emerging technologies, digital assets, a regulatory landscape, and capital markets. This segment is presented by Charles Schwab. I'm your host, Jill Malandrino, and joining us this afternoon, we have Justin Whitehead, founder and CEO of Pebble Finance, Kanishk Parashar, CEO of Powder, and Jud Mackrill, co-founder and CEO of Milemarker. We're here to discuss how advisors can effectively leverage AI-powered tools for speed, scale, and compliance. It is great to have all of you with us. Welcome to Trade Talks. Let's kick it off with you, Justin, and give us some insight into where Pebble Finance sits within the advisor ecosystem.
Sure. Thanks for having me here. So Pebble focuses itself on the performance reporting story. So clients are engaging with their advisors are engaging with their clients generally on a quarterly or annual basis, talking about what's going on in the world and how it affects that portfolio. And that's squarely where we leverage our technologies to bring even more color and relevance to those stories.
And Kanishk, I'll ask you the same question of Powder, where you are within the advisor ecosystem.
Yeah, thanks, Jill. So Powder's mission is to automate menial but important tasks, and that allows advisors to focus on uplifting client service. So our first AI agent, it focuses on reading documents like investment documents, and it does it faster and more accurate than a human, and helps the advisor save about 95% of their time, and at a fraction of the cost.
And Judd, finally, tell us about Milemarker.
Yeah, Milemarker helps advisory firms and broker-dealers bring together all the data you need that you actually run your business on into one place so that you can actually report that. You can make that available to AI when and if you're ready for that. But giving you that control layer and that orchestration layer that sits on top of your data as well, all with a solid foundation and scale to help you grow.
Justin, let's talk about some of the challenges that RIAs in the wealth management industry faces right now. We know that we're going through what's going to be a massive wealth transfer, and just the composure and how advisors are working with clients certainly is something that's rolling out in real time. But from a technical perspective, what are some of the challenges that you're hearing?
So everything stems from the change in the marketplace as you're describing here. There is increased client expectation. So the generation that's coming into the market, they're born into a world with Spotify and Google Maps, and they have a higher expectation and a kind of a me-centric view in terms of like what they expect from financial advisors. At the same time, the margins in the wealth management space are shrinking. Like fees are roughly about the same, but the costs are going up. So advisors are trying to figure out how to both scale more. How do you turn 30 relationships into 100 relationships, but also make it still feel like that client experience level is one-to-one. And our technology is sitting squarely at that intersection, trying to make it always feel to the end client that this advisor is the one and only person for you, and they can tell you everything intimately about what's going on in your portfolio.
Yeah, and Kanishk, is that really one of the challenges that you're hearing as well, where you want personalized access to your advisor, but you also have advisors that are trying to do more with less?
That's correct. Yeah, and I think the challenge is, and it's coming at us all, is how AI is helping with that. And so right now, the challenge that the RIs are facing is that as they try to uplift their service or keep it up at the same level as they grow, is that the AI companies, kind of look like everybody's an AI company nowadays. And then they're getting approached by hundreds of companies advertising to them, and it gets confusing where AI is actually helping,
Yeah.
and how to build this software stack to keep that client's, service up.
Judd, are you seeing adoption? Is it underway? I would imagine it's challenging for traditional advisors where it's been ingrained in them for, that one-on-one interaction and people and face-to-face is everything. Is it underway, or is there some challenges in getting acceptance to that adoption? What are you seeing?
Yeah, I think there's encouragement that I have toward how people are starting to use AI and starting to get a little bit more proficient, starting to get more curious. I mean, obviously, this is a special moment as a technologist for all of us to see how much it's rapidly changing. So we've never had better PR to adopting technology. So that's been fun, but it also creates a ton of questions inside of how these firms are operating and what's going to be relevant, what's secure, how do we do this in a compliant manner, and how do compliance and IT teams in these inside of these firms actually keep up. So it's a fun challenge for people to solve, and it's fun to guide every day just in terms of what you can do now securely and how you can use solutions like Powder and others to really solve a lot of problems.
Jud, you brought up a really great point in terms of how it's changing the compliance and regulatory landscape and how firms are managing that, right? I mean, it's one thing to have a product and develop and have something new and fun come out that's AI generated, but at the end of the day, whether it's cyber or your traditional compliance functions, things, products and models really have to be built with that as part of the mindset, right?
Definitely. Definitely. I mean, I think a lot of times, I mean, this is an age of data and automation. It's an age of empathy. And what we're able to do is to help drive more empathetic experiences and outcome because of the increased connectivity and increased ability to prompt and understand and articulate more than any other time in history. It's right in front of us. And I think that is the unlock in terms of how can we help drive deeper, more empathetic client experiences because of the data and because of the pathways we set forth inside of how we manage our firms.
Right. So, Kanishk, the question is it something that you build organically, or do you look to partner with firms that already have this technology available, or they specialize in this technology?
Yeah, from my side of the fence, the best answer to that is to partner, because the dollar investment and the R&D investment and the time necessary to build some of these solutions, could be significant. And in that case, it just makes sense to partner and understand how the software stack you're building at one of the firms works together to make that really possible very quickly.
Yeah. And Justin, you could argue as well, it's just a matter of getting that expertise, whether it's within the data, privacy, governance, cyber, wealth management tools space. Everyone has, a special expertise within any one of those areas.
Yeah, and interestingly, we actually spent the first few years of our company life was actually spent being regulated by the SEC. So I've got firsthand experience dealing and answering SEC's inquiries as to usage of AI and all that, and that's valuable years of experience that we both build into our product, but also when we're working with wealth management firms or the wirehouses or broker dealers, we're actually able to share some of that insight with the legal and risk compliance teams. So it's not purely just like, hey, partner with this company because they've done it before. Also look at your partners or also look for these vendors and all that as a way to maybe partner and increase your own internal learning as well.
Yeah, because Justin, whether it's the advisory business, wealth management, but all parts of finance, what we're hearing through our panels on Nasdaq TradeTalks is really almost this crash course into understanding the nuances of data privacy, governance, what that means, cybersecurity we can loop in there as well. So I think there's a lot along the way that perhaps we weren't exposed to as much in prior iterations of the wealth management business as it evolves, because these are things that, you as a firm, if you want to be competitive and be in the marketplace, that you have to have, a level of expertise in.
Yeah, no, and technology is moving faster than the regulations. Technology is moving, faster than a lot of legal risk and compliance departments and all that. One thing when it comes to like strategies for adoption within your own firm, 110% involve legal risk and compliance at the beginning of the process, not at the end. And that's probably one of the largest mistakes that I see as a lot of different firms across a lot of different categories of the industry are experiencing. The product people are all wide-eyed and excited for, hey, some new AI feature, to come out. But then they involve, the compliance team at the 11th hour, and hey, the answer is going to be no, because it's going to take us a whole bunch of time to figure out what the actual risks are.
I think you have to be careful with that. Because if you let the compliance team drive the bus isn't going to go anywhere. So you have to bring the team alongside of it, that all the stakeholders need to be represented in order to make that progress. That's my caution on it. But you're totally right about all that stuff.
And I think that's the opportunity for people like us. Like, we can help lead and drive some of that conversation. They, the teams, the compliance teams have just as many questions as we did maybe, a year or two ago and all that. Catch them up. Don't tell them how to think, but hey, from our experience, this is what we learned. This is what we have observed and all that type of stuff. These are the types of conversations maybe we're having generically with other firms as we approach the problem and all that. And that helps speed up those conversations much more quickly.
Yeah. But Justin and Jud, like, one thing that the compliance folks are completely missing nowadays is eval systems on AI.
Yes.
They're basically launching a lot of AI systems, not knowing how good they're going to work. And the magic word hallucination keeps coming up. You never know when you have hundreds of folks using these systems, when is it doing something wrong? So that part is completely missing right now.
And I think that is something that the three of us have gone and figured that out well long ago.
Well, I think that you guys are all making an important point here, and that just underscores the thesis around that operating in silos in today's marketplace. First of all, you won't be competitive. Second of all, you're going to have some sort of breach somewhere. So having that bird's eye view and understanding who your audience is, right? Talking to compliance versus talking to the board versus talking to advisors, product revenue teams. Those are all very different conversations. But I think, and Judd, you've noted this as well, that the importance of policy and building this around, an AI compliant culture first is key to this. It's too late if you're not building it at the bottom where you're able to evolve with the industry and with technology in general, whether it's the latest and greatest technology or regulatory standards that you have to keep up with. You're in a hamster wheel otherwise.
Yeah, the best news, though, I would say, is that it's never been an easier time to create policies, to create educational materials, and to drive people forward. This wheel is going to spin faster and faster, and that's the expectation here. It's not going to slow down. It's not going to get more normalized. We are going to have a stronger pace of change, and it's a great opportunity to get on that path and transform how we get to serve clients.
Yeah, I think Kanishk, to Judd's point, we're at an inflection point here, and for you guys being early adopters, that could be a competitive advantage in itself for the three of you.
Definitely.
Absolutely. I think we're not only driving new solutions, but we're also driving education.
Mhm.
And the greatest part about this industry nowadays is that firms are on board. They want to adapt, they want to move forward. And internally, they're having a major cultural shift. And an example is like for us, as tech companies, our software engineers no longer actually write code.
Yeah.
They review code written by AI, and they're more than double productive that they used to be just from a year ago. And then this culture shift is coming, and like Judd said, it's getting faster and faster. And I feel like the RIAs, and the wealth management firms have a chance to adapt. They want to do it, which is great news.
Yeah. Justin, what are you hearing from the RIA community? Are they, on board? Well, they have to be on board with this. It's the only way that you're going to be competitive to a certain extent.
I think there's still a large swath of people that have their head stuck in the sand, as if AI is not going to come in and change things. There is the pervasive fear that, oh, AI is going to take my job and all that, and I don't buy that camp whatsoever. The firms that are most successful in adoption are the ones that are embedding AI as lightweight improvements to people's workflow. So if you think about, like, not in the wealth industry, if you take a look at like Google went and started adding its like AI insights to all their search results and all that type of stuff. None of us here on this call, none of us asked for that. This isn't an explicit new Google property that we log into and get AI search results. They dropped it into our everyday workflow of using with Google. And I think firms that are adopting that type of approach where, hey, we're sprinkling in AI to where people already are, we're quietly enhancing the workflow little by little. If you were to go ahead and try to remove those AI capabilities afterwards, I think those firms would experience like revolt from their end users. Just like Google might experience a big backlash if they were to remove the AI results from their search type of deal. So it's interesting.
Yeah, I mean, the cat's out of the bag, and Judd, you have that noted as well, how it transforms your research. I can tell you, for what I do day to day, my research has certainly improved and takes you to areas you would never have considered before because of, the capabilities of these new technologies. But client service and operational efficiency, if you think about it in those respects, this allows advisors to do the work that they want to do with clients because they're not stuck in this, loop of dealing with the administrative and operational, requirements of their job.
Yeah, I mean, this is the biggest scale change in history. The ability to serve more people or to simply just be more present with the people you already serve. It's a gift, and it's a great opportunity for us to transform how we perceive wealth management, the whole experience. And obviously, hopefully the outcomes, whether those are experiential or financial, this is the moment where we get to really transform the way we work with the equipment of advancements in technology.
Yeah, I would agree with all of three of you. I think it's an exciting time for sure in the wealth management space. Appreciate all of your insights. Thanks for joining us on Trade Talks. I'm Jill Malandrino, Global Markets Reporter at Nasdaq.
Thank you.